Teach your woman to do and be what you want and need with my mini course, How to Properly Instruct, Guide, and Develop Your Woman for a Potential Long-Term Relationship. The link is in the description. Feminists the world over hate seeing women who are in good relationships, not because they hate good relationships, but because they know they can't have one, which brings us to today's topic. TSR Hall of Shamer, gentlemen, Janelle Testa is at it again. She wrote an article entitled, "I'm Painfully Single and Seeing Couples Everywhere is Killing Me." And for those of you who aren't familiar with Miss Testa, allow me to sort of give you a Reader's Digest on who and what she is. Janelle Testa is a feminist blogger who writes for bold.com, who happens to be on a slew of medications to make her feel better about the fact that she'll never be in a relationship with a man she respects and loves, who also happens to love her. Now, she got wind of the first article I broke down that she wrote and she went absolutely mental, as most women do, when you show your ability to see through their ridiculous jibber jabber and vocalize your lack of ignorance to their irrational assertions. So let's break this bad boy down and see what kind of nonsense Janelle is talking about this time. She says, quote, "Is it just me, or are there..." Jesus fucking Christ. 2 sentences in, and we've already got a typo. Listen, bold.com clearly doesn't value punctuation because, God forbid, people actually take these chicks seriously, right? Anyway, let me not be a grammar artsy. Anyway, is it just me, or are there couples everywhere you turn every time you walk out of the house? I feel like I can't escape them. They're everywhere. Seeing people who are seemingly happy together brings up a whole lot of feelings within me. I'm super emotional, she says, and seeing them drives me crazy. No, Miss Testa, that's not you. It's every woman over the age of 30 who are covered in tattoos, have magenta hair and bull rings, who've sport-fucked their way through their 20s, and wonder why dudes only take you for a ride when you're the last girl at the bar if he has his beer goggles on. Banana gobblers used to be a rarity. Guys, they really did. Now, these days in 2019, they're a dime a dozen. The problem is that these girls think that they're somehow special or unique because they have an unconventional tattoo or have rainbow-colored armpit hair. And just like B. Scott gets mad every time he sees me post a picture of doing things he wishes he could do, it drives Janelle crazy when she sees women living the life she wants but can't have. So let's go ahead and get started here. Number 1, they remind me how single I am. She continues, "When I see 2 lovebirds all nuzzled up on each other in public, it is just a giant reminder for me that I don't have a person. I feel like there's a blinking sign over my head that reads, 'Alone.' Even if others don't see it, it's loud and bright enough to ruin how I'm feeling. I then ruminate on the fact that I've been single for a long time." What most men don't realize, guys, is that women, as I reach for some water here, is that women characterize and emote being single the same way they characterize and emote their ages, how old they are. A 22-year-old girl will gleefully tell you she's 22, and she'll do so with a $1 million smile and a twinkle in her eye. She acts the same way when she tells you she's single. A 29-year-old will tell you she's 29, but not with quite as much zest or enthusiasm. Now, don't get me wrong, she still does have a little bit of pride because she is, after all, still in her 20s. And when she tells you she's single, her tone is still hopeful and maybe somewhat optimistic. But when a 35-year-old woman, a 35-year-old post-wall woman tells you her age, she may as well have told you that her cat died, because at that point, she knows it's over. She'll act the same way when she tells you she's single. Miss Testa, obsessed. Are you lost or confused about how to properly vet women for a potential relationship? Learn how to weed out sluts, time wasters, gold diggers, and cheaters with my mini course, How to Thoroughly Vet Women for a Long-Term Relationship. The link is in the description. Over the fact that she's single because she is obsessing over the fact that she's single because it's not so much fun anymore. You see, ladies, being single is great when you're 23 because you guys have the luxury of time and options, but both of those commodities dissipate in a hurry. And before you realize that you've had 3 abortions, 2 engagements, and a drinking problem, you wake up on your 38th birthday and you realize that you've been single into your late 30s, and that being single in your late 30s is not a good life. That blinking sign used to say strong and independent. Now it reads alone. Number 2, I'm self-pitying about being on my own. If it isn't clear already, she says, I don't like being by myself. Rather than letting it be what it is, not a big deal and totally natural, she puts in parenthesis, I turn it into a way to beat myself up. I become a self-pity machine, thinking that there has to be something hugely wrong with me. I expend all this energy on getting down on myself rather than spending it building myself up. Like most women, guys, Janelle is lying to herself and everyone else when she says that being by herself is not a big deal and totally natural. This is one of the many reasons why women suffer in silence, guys. They can't admit to the world that they need a man. The reason she's beating herself up is because her female hard drive is telling her that it is a big deal and that being alone is not totally natural. Men, on the other hand, have a completely different hard drive. We want women, sure, but we certainly don't need them. But women who think they can be like men in this regard, they always end up miserable because they can't be like men. Then she says she keeps thinking something's hugely wrong with her, as if to imply that she's perfectly fine, but that her conscience is giving her a false alarm. No, Miss Testa, that's not a false alarm. There are many things hugely wrong with you, and that's why your mind is signaling the alarm that tells you to panic, which you are absolutely doing right now. Number 4, and yes, I'm skipping number 3 again because Bold is getting into the dating coach business and using number 3 in all their articles to pitch the scam, which is essentially charging women to tell them exactly what all of these articles tell them to do for free. So let's just go ahead and go to number 4. Number 4, I start to think about my flaws. When I see a happy couple, she says, I reflect on my own life and wonder why I don't have someone. Then I start to feel like I'm fundamentally broken, like I have so many flaws that they're drowning me. I begin to think about how I'm probably too intense for most people and how I'm too much in general. All I focus on are my perceived flaws. Guys, this is the equivalent of a bitchy female telling herself that she's single because men are intimidated by her strong personality, when in actuality, men just can't stand her bitchy attitude. The reason this woman doesn't have someone is because she's overweight, she's covered in tattoos, and she's insufferable. Further, the flaws she has that are drowning her are the side effects that come with sleeping around. We talk about this all the time, guys. Entitlement, neuroticism, lack of self-awareness, lack of discipline, impulsiveness, bad decision-making, alcoholism, being depressed, being anxious, the list goes on. Men of value do not commit to women who have an inflated sense of sexual market value, are mentally unstable, who drink too much and make bad decisions on the fly. They don't do it. And when you look like Janelle, you tell men exactly who and what you are. Women like that aren't intense. They're damaged beyond repair, which is too much risk for any man with common sense to invest in. And listen, guys, listen, we can talk all the shit we want about girls with a bunch of tattoos and piercings, but listen, on the bright side, at least they make it easy for us to recognize that we shouldn't consider them for anything more than a one-night stand or maybe even a temporary friends with benefits arrangement.